Oh no.
Twirl. Okay. Not that much, a twirl. Okay. I'll mix it back that way. That's you. That's you. Perfect. Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Take a wee step back. You come on now. Just so you're in. Right, you two, it's your wedding day. You're allowed to hold hands. But hey, no kissing until I say so. Nice try there. Good afternoon, family and friends, and welcome to the wedding of Nicola and Sean. I'm sure you will all agree, despite having some very unpredictable weather in Scotland, what a beautiful day we have today for such a beautiful couple, on what will surely be the start of the most amazing wedding day. So these two would like to thank everyone for coming here today, and I know that some of you have travelled quite a wee bit just to be here. We have people from all the way over in Kenya, down the south of England, or even just along the road in Cardorrell. Regardless of how near or far you've come to join us today, I'm pleased to welcome you all in celebrating this wedding ceremony here at the stunning Dalmeny Park. So my name's Paul, and I'm a humanist marriage officer. Or as Sean's been referring to me, the guy who's doing it.
Yeah. Nervous?
It's nerves, is it? Technically, you're not wrong.
Brilliant.
And either way, I'm delighted to be conducting your wedding today, Sean, okay? So as I mentioned, today's ceremony is humanist in content, and for those of you unfamiliar with that philosophy, it is simply one of unity, respect, freedom of choice, and celebrating love. Today, this bride and groom embark on a brand new chapter in their lives together. And it was clear to me from spending some time with you both that you're perfectly matched and you've been in love since the very beginning. Or have they? We'll come on to that.
That's another story.
We'll come on to their story in a wee minute. And I'm sure Kev will fill in a few blanks. Essentially, this ceremony has enabled Nicola and Sean to express some of their own feelings about one another in a way that is extremely personal to them. They see their marriage as a way of bringing together the people they care about most. So they've asked me for a ceremony that's just like Sean, short and sweet. It's all about having fun, celebrating with family, and this guy said he's looking forward to one thing the most today. That's having one hell of a party. I was wondering where you were going with that when I asked you earlier. So before we get the party started, a few special mentions. Firstly to our beautiful bridesmaids. You've all done a great job making sure that Nicola arrived on time for once. Not quite, but I bet you don't get a round of applause every time you show up late.
No.
We'll also have our two dogs of honour to make an appearance later. So we've got Rocco and Hugo going to join us for photos later. However, they can't be trusted during the ceremony. And of course, it is these two who are the stars of the show today, so we don't want to take any attention away from the happy couple for just a wee bit. And on the subject of cute wee fuzzy creatures, our groom and groom's party. Of course, don't they scrub up? Wonderful. He looks great in his suit, doesn't he?
So handsome.
And I asked this man why he wasn't wearing a kilt today. You know, typically a lot of people would wear a kilt for a wedding. And what did you tell me? No, your legs are absolutely fine, you've got lovely legs. He said that would be admitting he no longer wears the trousers in the relationship. So, of course, I'm sure that ship sailed long ago. You both do look absolutely fantastic. But in all seriousness, the biggest thank you, of course, goes to the family members of this happy couple, and in particular the parents. You guys have been a huge support to this couple throughout all of their lives, and in particular on this journey called love. The couple would like to take a wee moment to also acknowledge those family members who can't be with us today, those who are close to our hearts but no longer here in person, and in particular, Nicola, your nana. So we keep them in our thoughts and in our stories, and those who are closest to our hearts should also play a special part in today's wedding. Ladies and gentlemen, it's so important to this couple that they make their commitments in front of all of you here today. You might not even realise it, but by simply being here, each and every single one of you are playing such a special part in this couple's love story. So, as we talk about love stories and the togetherness of family, I would now like to invite Danielle to share with us a reading titled Chapter 1 of 1000.
He's on me, my love. I never picked them. They didn't want to hear it. I wasn't allowed to say what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Pick them off Google. Hello.
Danielle has been banned from writing her own speech, so we've given her a reading by O.J. Preston, which she's going to share, which sums up what today is all about.
For two people this dawn brought on a magical day, now husband and wife they head on their way. As a boat setting sail may their journeys begin, with calmest of waters most helpful of wind. And if they should stumble upon turbulent sea, may it pass them unharmed and leave them be. For here are two people whose love is well bitten, here opens their book what has yet to be written. As the first page unfolds and their life inks its path, may it write a true story where forever love lasts. Let their journey be happy till death do they part. Of 1000 chapters, may this be their start.
Right, Danielle, if you take a wee step back.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you. So yes, may this be the start, just another chapter in the long story that is your love story and your future ahead. But before we send them off on their future chapter called marriage, it's only fair that we have a wee look back at the previous chapter of how this love story actually started and how these two got to this very spot today. So, ladies and gentlemen, it was like a modern day Prince Charming. Sean searched through all of the land for his Cinderella. Well, more accurately, you searched through a Paisley nightclub, didn't you?
Hey!
And boy, was he in luck. Now, the boys had been out for the night, spending time together in a trendy wee bar called the Quo Vadis. If any of you know the Quo Vadis, you'll know how trendy this bar is. And it's not renowned for its great scenery. So, with just a bunch of old men in the pub to keep them company, the guys decided to head off in a taxi to Glasgow city centre in search of some girls. As it happened, Nicola had actually been chatting up one of Sean's friends. I'm not going to name which friend, but let's just see who goes reddest. So a message pinged through on Kev's phone and he piped up saying, I know some birds who are going out in Paisley. And within seconds, the taxi had done a handbrake turn and was speeding down Paisley Road West. So I'm sure many a love story has started in the romantic surroundings of Vienna's nightclub, and it's fair to say that their memories of this night are a little bit hazy, having consumed one too many vodka Red Bulls. However, Sean vividly remembers the second he laid eyes on this woman, he knew instantly that this was the girl of his dreams. And despite one of Sean's friends having an eye for Nicola on this night, as soon as she met this man, the chemistry between them was undeniable. Sean made her laugh straight away, and it wasn't just his patter that won her over. She was also suitably impressed with his dancing skills. Some of you were there that night. It was like something off of the Discovery Channel. Picture the scene. The female of the species spots the male from across the dance floor, and in some sort of strange mating ritual, I'm going to make you do it. You were doing this one-leg dance. You're going to bring it out later, I know.
I'll rip my trousers.
We're all going to see it later. This man began to strut his stuff on one leg, and of course, it wasn't long before Nicola swooped on her prey. So yes, it was indeed mating season for these two, and they would spend the whole night getting to know one another, chatting for hours and hours. And by the end of the night, as the revellers poured out of the nightclub, Sean perhaps had one too many vodkas, as he thought he was seeing double. Turns out he'd actually spent half the night chatting Danielle up.
That should have been me. Should have been me.
Oh dear. But thankfully it wasn't just saliva that was exchanged between these two, and having exchanged numbers also, it was the very next day that this girl messaged Sean saying she would love to get to know him a wee bit more. So having spent most of the night chatting this one up, you went round to Nicola's mum's, where you got to know one another better. So after meeting up at Nicola's mum's house, a first date was soon arranged between these two. Sean decided to take Nicola bowling. And this is where she was introduced to this man's competitive side. Now, you must be competitive because you said you were looking forward to absolutely smashing her on this night. Is that what he meant?
Aye, that's what you meant.
Nicola was clearly excited for this date.
Oh, aye.
And Sean, being the absolute gentleman that he is, offered to come and pick her up at her house. Although he did ask Nicola not to judge him by his rubbish car that he was driving. So here was Nicola thinking that this man was going to appear in some old rust bucket. Instead, through the streets of Paisley came the roar of a sexy convertible BMW. Not only was this guy handsome, had the ability to make her laugh, but he drove a really, really nice car. So from this second, Nicola knew this man is a keeper.
Sure.
And the date couldn't have simply went any better. Despite being beaten at bowling, Nicola was getting butterflies just being around this boy. And keen to impress this girl, Sean decided to take her for some food, and he thought of the fanciest restaurant he could think of. Where did you take her?
Nando's.
Nando's, yep. Cheeky Nando's, and it wasn't just the peri-peri sauce that was getting hot and spicy this night. Sean and Nicola were getting on like a house on fire. The date was going so well that Sean invited Nicola back to his place, asking, "Do you want to come and see my basement?" Now, Nicola, I'm not sure if you've ever seen the news. This is how every single serial killer documentary starts. But not put off. She happily obliged, and to the basement you two went. And for those of you who are not familiar with this story, Sean did indeed live in a basement in his dad's house. So you'd built him, John, a nice wee basement that had everything that he needed. A bed, a sofa, a fridge, a TV, it was all there, so he could just have his wee lonely time. So as they headed back and snuggled up to watch a movie, Sean disappeared to the bathroom for what seemed like ages. Nicola thought maybe it was the spicy food, the peri-peri chips. And after an eternity, this man reappeared, and somehow all of his clothes had magically disappeared. Let's just say, sorry mum, cover your ears here. Sean was making his intentions very clear indeed. But after all the food, Nicola was feeling a wee bit unwell, and just like Cinderella, this girl ran off and disappeared into the distance. Poor Sean was devastated. He stood there in the scuddy. He thought maybe this girl clearly wasn't as up for it as he was, if you know what I mean. So thankfully, though, when Nicola got home, she messaged saying she did have a great time and she was already looking forward to their next date. So on the next visit to Sean's basement, needless to say, romance blossomed between these two, and it wasn't long before they became inseparable. Spending all their time together, they would continue to grow more and more as a couple each day, and were soon introduced to one another's families. Nicola had quite the introduction to Sean's family. Wanting to make a good first impression of herself, Nicola ensured her makeup was on point, and does admit she maybe got a wee bit excited with old fake tan. So showing up to Weatherspoons, all of Sean's family were there to meet this girl, and she was introduced to them as what?
Mahogany nut.
Mahogany nut. A nickname that's stuck to this very day.
Oh, yeah.
And with Nicola getting on so well with the family, they continued to party back at Uncle George's house, where Nicola ended up so drunk that she fell asleep in his garden. So a great first impression, but knowing that this girl was clearly a perfect match for this man, they were both welcomed into one another's family with open arms. So it was no surprise when very soon after this, that Sean dropped the L-bomb by saying those three little words. Within seconds, Nicola's Facebook status was updated to "in a relationship," and the rest, as they say, is history. Now falling more in love each day, these two continued to grow more and more as a couple, and Nicola would come over and stay at Sean's pretty much every night. Soon, the wee overnight bag became a drawer full of clothes, and then once the fake tan started to appear in the bathroom, you knew Nicola had pretty much moved all of her things in. And then this couple soon realised they're not just partners, they soon became best friends too. So they decided to give John some peace and quiet, and they got their very own place together after a few years. Now, starting a brand new chapter, living as a couple, they also discovered they are the perfect match in a household. One is good at getting up early in the morning. The other likes to press that snooze alarm a few thousand times. One is always early for stuff. The other fashionably late. One likes to do all of the cooking. Fair to say the other one's maybe better at doing the dishes. One is neat, clean and tidy. And the other is Nicola. He told me to put that in. And of course, together as a couple, these two have had some amazing adventures. However, the biggest adventure yet was welcoming some new additions to the family. With your two fur babies, Hugo and Rocco, joining the household. And who knows, Sean, there may be even more additions to the family in the years to come. What is certain, ladies and gentlemen, this couple clearly already have the perfect family and they love spending their lives together. You've been on so many experiences together, travelled to some amazing locations, making memories in Mexico, cuddling up in the Canaries, getting loved up in Liverpool, or even just snuggled up on the sofa right here in Scotland. Every adventure you two have had has been spent collecting everlasting memories, but none perhaps more so than the day that this man proposed. You see, Sean knew from the very beginning that Nicola was the one. So he'd been stealthily planning his proposal for quite some time. Now, I say stealthily planning, however, we actually have Sean's mum and sister to thank for the proposal taking place. Having met up in Braehead during the busy Christmas period as they walked past the jewellers, Sean just happened to mention that he would one day like to propose. He just didn't know when. Now, you two had been together for years already, so who knows how long this girl might have had to wait. So Sean's mum sprung into action, knowing that this was the girl that you'd spend the rest of your life with. So your mum and your sister dragged you into the jewellers, and it wasn't long before you'd selected the perfect ring. All I had to do now was scope out the perfect place and time to pop the question. Would it be in one of their holidays to an exotic location, perhaps? So which beautiful location did you choose to propose in?
In the house.
In the house. But for this couple, this was the most perfect place of all. Sean knew by doing this at home, it was the perfect opportunity to catch the unsuspecting Nicola by surprise. And also, you could enlist the help of your two wee boys, Hugo and Rocco, into the proposal. So having bought the two boys a wee bandana saying, "Will you marry my daddy?" the plan was now ready to commence. Sean decided that Christmas morning would be the perfect time to propose. And after opening their gifts to one another, Sean waited for the opportunity to pop up. Now, Nicola popped through to the kitchen. Sean seized his moment, quickly sprung into action. He grabbed the dog by the neck, getting bitten on the hand for your troubles. And the bandana was now firmly in place. The plan could commence. The puppies are sometimes a bit of a handful, knocking paint over, chewing tables and such like. And Sean, being the big softy that he is, when they're naughty, he doesn't give them into trouble. This is Nicola's job. So, to keep the boys in check, he shouted through and said, "Can you shout on Hugo? He's done something." She was already busy getting everything ready for Christmas. She was through in the kitchen, so slightly stressed out. Nicola shouted on the dog, and he came bounding in to see her with something wrapped around his neck. And it was at this moment that all suddenly became clear as she read the words on the bandana. And as she looked up, she saw the man of her dreams down on one knee with the ring in his hand. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, regardless of where or when that question was going to come, the answer was always going to be yes. And so that brings us to this very moment today. For this couple, marriage means so much more than just sharing a surname. It means sharing in the challenges that life will face you with. It's never been too old to hold hands. It's standing together and facing the world. And it's remembering to say I love you every single day. So on the subject of love, I secretly asked these two to share with me a couple of reasons that they truly, madly, deeply love one another. Maybe that they don't tell one another enough. And also get a couple of things off their chest before they seal the deal. What they're not looking forward to in the marriage ahead. What can they work on? And here's what they shared. So Nicola said, "I love everything about Sean. However, if I could sum it up, the things I love, he is the most kind and caring person I've ever met. He's the sweetest soul. He would do anything for anyone. And he's the funniest person that I know. So there's not a day that doesn't go by where he doesn't have me in stitches. Even when I'm having the worst of days, Sean always knows how to brighten them up. He tells me how beautiful I am each and every single day, even when sometimes I feel like I look a riot. And there's not a day that goes by where I don't hear the words, I love you. I love that after all these years together, he still holds doors open for me, opens the car door for me, and still treats me to meals out. That's when he's not working. However, he's my best friend in the whole world, and I cannot wait to call this man my husband. However, Sean, there's a couple of things that he needs to work on. He does get very, very stressed over the smallest things that are very easily fixed. So in the future marriage ahead, just relax, enjoy it. What's the worst that can happen? When you're mid-conversation with this man, he might be on the phone and he always says, oh wait, I'll phone you back in 2 minutes. And then 2 hours later, you're still waiting for a phone call from him. Obviously busy at work, right? But the thing that you need to work on most in the marriage ahead, how you're always leaving your clothes scattered around on the floor. You never wash your coffee cups or spoons when you're eating your wee jar of pickles. And it's this girl who has to clean up after you. She feels like she's your mum sometimes, all right? So pull your weight around the house, get some tidying done. Okay, what did Sean say? Well, we'll start off with the not so good, Nicola. All right.
Start with that first. Is it nothing? It's nothing,
Just get rid of this sheet.
Just go to the good stuff.
He said there's a couple of things that Nicola has to work on. Firstly, she drives me absolutely insane with the dogs. We actually have a dog walker we have had for 6 years, and it cost me a fortune. However, if Nicola's off, she's always on the phone constantly. When will you be home for the dogs? The dogs need taken out. When are you going to come and see to them? Keep telling other people that dogs stay in till they get home, till you get home from work. But you need to start pulling your weight with the dogs, lady, okay? All right, this is his babies. Look after them. And what do you say? What do you say? Not my dogs.
Aye, not my dogs.
Yeah, you're always saying to him, not my dogs. It's both your babies, okay? It really annoys him when he gets his car valid, and not a cheap one. As soon as it's done, she's like, right, let's take the dogs in the car. Covered in hair everywhere. They run from side to side on the back seats, scratching the doors. And even though you keep telling her dogs are barred from the car, she still insists, get a different car then. All right. But he likes his nice car. And the thing that you need to work on most, this guy likes a night out, Nicola. He likes a wee drink now and then. And see when he's coming home and he's burst the next day, can you just not drag him to Aldi, to B&M, to 10 other shops? He says he's not got the heart to tell you, so he's going to allow me to do it. But can you just learn to drive so that you can take the dogs out and go to the shops and give him some peace and quiet? However, this is massively outweighed by all of the things that he loves about you. He loves that you always put everyone first. You are the most caring girl that he's ever met. You're definitely a keeper, and he loves how you look after, not just him, but the 2 dogs as well. He loves your laugh. You're the most beautiful girl in the world. And he loves how, when you're going away anywhere for holidays, with the boys or away with work, if this guy doesn't get to see you before he goes out to work, you'll always leave wee handwritten notes for him, making sure he knows that you love him. And he's got a nice wee nickname for you, so what do you put on the drawings every time?
He just had to tell her. He's like this. I don't put big jugs.
Sean says, I've got a nickname for her. I always call her Big Jugs, and that's what she always draws for me each and every single day. But mostly what he loves that he can tell you anything. He can talk to you about absolutely anything in the world. You will never judge him. You're always there to calm him down when he gets a wee bit stressed out or having a bad day, especially when he's stressed out at work, mostly because of John. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, in a marriage, the little things are the big things. And for this couple, quite clearly, the relationship is filled with love, with laughter, and by the sounds of things, a couple of big jugs. However, this is a person that you've chosen to grow old with, to stand by your side with, and to spend the rest of your life with. So, before we commit them to spending the rest of their lives together, the couple would like to symbolise today's wedding with an ancient Scottish tradition of a drinking from the quaich. So, for those of you who are not familiar with a quaich, it is a small silver cup, sometimes referred to as a loving cup. And it always has 2 handles, symbolising both partners entering into marriage. I'm going to ask you to hold on to that. We'll see how shaky your hands are. So traditionally, ladies and gentlemen, a couple would share a fine Scotch whisky from the quaich. However, neither being fans of whisky, we don't want this man sprayed with alcohol, just like that very first night that they spent together in Vienna's. They've chosen to share a vodka and Red Bull. Okay? So, I ask you to take a sip, Sean, from the quaich. And as you share from the quaich, you promise to share all that your lives may bring together. And as you pass the quaich to Nicola, may life be all the sweeter, Nicola, now that you've shared from the quaich today. So as we say in Scotland, down it.
No problem.
Hold it up, ladies and gentlemen. Slender!
That isn't strong enough.
Was it not strong?
That isn't strong enough.
The party is well and truly started. Okay, so hopefully that stiff drink has settled any nerves, as we've now come to the part where you two will take your vows to one another. So without sounding too much like the man from Gladiators, are you ready?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, can we have our ring bearer come forward with the rings, please, Kev? If you'd like to take your partner's ring in your hand.
Sean first.
You for ladies first. Thanks, Kev. That's over there. Okay, Nicola, if you can take Sean's left hand in yours, hover the ring over his ring finger, look into his eyes, and repeat after me. In the presence of our family and friends,
In the presence of our family and friends,
I, Nicola O'Reilly,
I, Nicola O'Reilly,
accept you, Sean Duffy,
accept you, Sean Duffy,
in marriage as my lawfully wedded husband,
in marriage as my lawfully wedded husband,
in sickness and in health,
in sickness and in health,
in good times and in bad.
in good times and in bad.
I will love and cherish you for the rest of my life.
I will love and cherish you for the rest of our lives.
Place the ring on Sean's finger. Perfect. Okay, Sean, now for you. If you could take Nicola's left hand, hover the ring over her ring finger, look into her eyes,
That man right there.
and repeat after me. In the presence of our family and friends,
In presence of our family and friends,
I, Sean Duffy,
I, Sean Duffy,
accept you, Nicola O'Reilly,
accept you, Nicola O'Reilly,
in marriage as my lawfully wedded wife,
in marriage as my lawfully wedded wife,
in sickness and in health,
and in sickness and in health,
in good times and in bad.
and in good times and in bad.
I will love and cherish you for the rest of my life.
I will love and cherish you for the rest of my life.
Place the ring on Nicola's finger. Sean and Nicola, you've chosen to pledge your love, respect and commitment to one another and have made a promise to stand by the other throughout your entire lives. So I now have the most pleasant duty of officially announcing you, Sean and Nicola, husband and wife! Oh yeah, oh yeah. Right, too fast. Sean, you may now kiss the bride. It's too eager. Perfect. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we'll now make it super official by signing the legal paperwork. That will take around 2 minutes, so we're going to have a paper, play some fantastic music for you, just relax, and we'll be back with you in 2 minutes' time.